T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Liftoff! This is a second episode documenting my Ben Solo build. Finally, the main part is here. I'm very excited to put my hands on my Asus X370 Strix Rog. It's the first time I buy an Asus motherboard and the first time I buy an enthusiast one. Are the extra money worth it? I'd say definitely yes. Let's start to see what you get with the box. You get a detailed user guide together with a set of flashy Asus ROG stickers, which more likely you will be put back in the box. There is as well a welcome quick start guide for the pro builders that don't need manuals and some warranty leaflet information. You then have more stickers, this time more useful one, little ones with different colors and a small Asus ROG logo on them. They will be very useful to take note of which SATA cable goes to which drive, which is especially helpful considering this board includes 8 SATA ports. Then of course the I/O shield, which is the best I saw in my life. First of all, I love the whole black finish. There are as well no sharp edges and is very squishy and soft at the back, as include electromagnetic filter. This I guess is one of the reasons why you pay more for it. You will find included as well a 20% discount for cable mods, which unfortunately I won't really use as I already have ordered and received my custom cable from Shockmods. You then have a set of screws to secure in place the NVMe drive, as well as a set of screws for the 3D mounting options that you find on the Asus ROG motherboard. Near the NVMe mount, you have the options to add 3D printed custom models, may be useful to create custom NVMe coolers or additional RGB accessories. You then have a bunch of black zip ties, which are always useful, and as well a SLI bridge for NVIDIA cards, which I'd say you would expect to have at this price point. We then have an RGB extension cable, and boy, it is long. It is actually 80 centimeters long, which is a nice touch from Asus, as this will allow you to mount the LED strips exactly where you want in whichever case you have. SATA cables. You have 4 included in the box, 2 straight and 2 angle one. This is very good, and they're also fairly long at 50 centimeters. You have reinforced PCI slots with a nice clicky latch to secure even heavy GPUs. You have not one but 2 Rgb headers, cleverly located at the very top of the board and at the very bottom, and are easy to locate as the only jumpers in white plastic. The PCB is absolutely high quality. Everything has a very nice black shiny finish, except for the capacitor next to the advanced sound chip. The sound chip as well has a very nice mirror finish, but there's no protecting film on top of it, and in my case I had to wipe it up a little bit and clean it off, as it was not that clean out of the box. The Asus ROG logo has instead a protective film that you need to ensure to remove before installing the motherboard. Now, a very minor complaints are the fact that they included 2 stickers in a fairly visible area of the motherboard. One on the ATX power 24 pin slot and the other one on the last PCIe. I actually removed them and placed one of them on the back I/O shield of the motherboard and another one on the warranty leaflet. Another missing feature is a troubleshooting display. You don't have a 2-digit display for troubleshooting codes. Asus included a set of 4 LEDs that are going to give you guidance on what is failing a boot, which is nice to have, but I would have preferred to have a 2-digit display. Asus included that only on the higher tier price of their motherboard lines, which is the Asus Hero. However, aside from this very minor complaint, this board looks really amazing. Let's start the build by dropping in the CPU, the cooler, the NVMe and 16GB of Corsair Venegance RAM. I've started with the NVMe, fairly easy to mount. First of all, be sure you check how long is the NVMe drive in your hands, and then place the standoff screw on the board. clicking the NVMe drive, which will stay slightly lift off, push it down with a finger and screw it in with the included screw in place. Do not over tighten, you just need to gently screw it in and let the drive resting on its standoff. Next, I move on to the CPU. Release the latch next to the socket, drop the CPU into place and then bring the latch down. Once I did that, I actually wipe it off the CPU with some dry cotton to clear off any oil left from my fatty fingers. I then remove the cooler retention brackets, as those are not needed with the Ryzen 5 and Ryzen 7 coolers. You may want to leave them in place if you are mounting a Ryzen 3 cooler or any other cooler that is requiring brackets. Installing the cooler was a little bit more challenging than I expected, as you will have to align it with the screw holes, and the moment you screw the first screw, the cooler will actually have to have a fairly amount of pressure applied on the other side to be sure that the other screw on the opposite side is catching in on the backplate. Once you have done that, proceed with screwing in a crisscross pattern. The screws do not over tighten, just be sure that all the screws are fairly tightened up. But again, do not over tighten and be sure you do it in a crisscross pattern to even out the pressure when putting down the cooler. You didn't saw me apply thermal paste on the CPU because the thermal paste is already pre-applied on the cooler by AMD. Nicely route the fan cable for the CPU and attach it to the CPU fan header you find in the motherboard. Next, I mounted 16GB of Venegance Corsair RGB DIMMs, and I actually mounted only 2 of them. So in this scenario you will have to occupy usually the 2nd and the 4th slot in your motherboard. This is actually as well a better option compared to use 4 sticks, as will minimize any clearance issue with the cooler. I thought I would have not any issue anyway with clearance using the included AMD cooler, but if I would have used 4 sticks, actually the cooler would have interfered with the RAM. So be aware that the AMD cooler is a little bit more bulky than I was expecting it to be. We are done with the first part of the build. Be sure you subscribe and click the bell to receive notifications and see the final result of my build. Hope you enjoyed this video and see you in the next one.